So this is in response to the brilliant video that Alan did about fixing the noise halo problem. I just thought I would go through a few of my denoising, renoising techniques to show you some good ways of working, maybe. This is what we're going to work with, just like classic green screen, well shot on Arri. Um, and yeah, it's really nice, but it's got plenty of noise in it, as you'd expect. Um, and so the first thing that I do is I use Neat Video to denoise it. You could use Flame's denoiser too. I just like Neat Video. So that's the first thing that's happening, right? It's being denoised. You've got a really nice, almost noiseless image now. Um, does a really good job. So then the Neat Video passes out 32-bit floating point. I don't want that. I want 16-bit. So I just crop it there at the same resolution. So it's not changing the resolution. It's just cached here so that because Neat Video is slow and this is 6K, so that just means we can work with stuff nice and quickly. Scroll through it. So this is the magic here, right? So what it's doing is you've got the denoised image feeding into the front and the undenoised, the original image feeding into the back, and this node is set to subtract, right? And what that is doing is creating a plate that is the noise only, okay? So if I increase the exposure on that, this is boosting it right up. You can see that what's in here is the difference between the two. So this is all the noise that we've removed in the process of using Neat Video, right? So this area here is all denoised, and then here, this goes along here, goes in here, and so here that comes in as a just as one layer, and it's add mode, right? Just reset that. And so what happens is that this is the background, and this is the output. That's the background. That's the output. And so what it's doing is it's taking the denoised area and then adding exactly the original noise back in. So if I now go difference map between that and that, you can see this is the output of the difference map. I can whack the gain right up. And you'll see that there is precisely zero difference between this and the original. So we've removed all the noise and then we've added exactly the same noise back in. And what it means is you've got this nice area here where you can do all your work in a denoised area, and just working in denoised in a noiseless environment makes everything much easier. And then you add the original noise back in. Okay, so this is just for every shot. Okay, so I mean personally for my jobs, I I send everything out noiseless. I hate noise, do anything to get rid of it. So in my own jobs, I just denoise it at the beginning, usually also run it through Topaz, make these perfect noiseless images and send it out like that. But this workflow is for more if you're doing like features or episodic work where you're being fed shots and you've got to feed the shots back exactly as they were originally with full image integrity, just with your changes added. And your changes added need to have the right noise over them. So we are going to imagine that that's the case in this situation, right? So imagine that we've been tasked with removing this UEFA Champions League text, right? So I've just masked it already just for speed. So we use infill blur, sorry, in Matchbox, infill blur, okay? Boom, that's gone. So in this case, it doesn't actually work perfectly. You'd probably have to do something different because the infill blur, like some of the light is leaking in from this area here. So it's not a perfect fix, but for the sake of this demo, let's just imagine that that is a perfect fix, okay? So you have removed the text, okay? Now that's great. You then go to your grain, to re-adding your grain, okay, and Classic problem, okay? The grain profile on the letters is different to the grain profile on the blue background. And so you can see the original image showing through in your regrain, renoise, right? Um, Classic problem. Okay, so how do we deal with that? So in this is quite a simple one, right? So you could isolate that area, sort of offset, 2D offset, and use the grain from this area, the noise from this area, right? Um, but often you can't do that. Often there just isn't an area off to the side that's perfect, or the object is rotating or whatever. So I'm going to show you a different way where you create a really nice, clean noise plate for the entire image, and then you stick that on, right? So what you've got here, right, is the camera noise, okay? And this is really useful rather than regenerating noise or trying to match noise, generating noise. It's quite good just to use the original noise and patch it in there, right? So what we want to do is take some similar noise that we like and create a plate from it, right? So we're going to say that this area here is quite good. So let's, first thing we're going to do is pull out resize, right? So in this situation, set the resize to crop, yeah? Because we want to crop in on an area, okay? So go down here. Okay, so we're saying we like the noise from this area here, okay? And you just need, you need, 10 frames looped minimum, maybe even a bit less than that in a pinch, but you just need some frames that have good noise that you can loop, right? So it's interesting, right? Because the camera then moves. So this is not usable here, but the first 50 frames are usable, right? First 50 frames are good. So we want to loop. So we've got, okay, so now this is what I'm cropping, and then this is the output, right? It's just that little area that I've cropped. Okay, so 724 by 328 of good grain for 50 frames. So we now need to loop that for 50 frames, right? So hit that 1 to 50, and then what I want to do is ping pong it so that it carries on afterwards. Now, you don't really need to ping pong it beforehand on this one because we're starting from frame one, but sometimes I might pick a noise section in the middle of the clip and you need to ping pong it both ways. But either way, it's ping pong now. So now you've got loop noise all the way through, okay? Good noise all the way through. So now what we need to do is make that the same size as the rest of our workflow. Okay, you need to do this 6K portrait mode. So we do 2D transform. Okay, pull up a 2D transform, and when you're holding that, you press on that, and then you T-click another one, like um, another node that has the resolution that you want, and that will take on that resolution. Okay, so now we've got a clip that's the right resolution, and we've got our noise in the middle of it like that. Okay, so what we do is we mirror repeat it, and now that noise, now we have good noise for the entire 6K image, right? And yeah, I know you can see some repetitive patterns in there, but that's because I've got the exposure right up, and once you have it in a little area, that'll be fine. Um, so there we go, 6K, good noise for the entire duration of the clip. So now what we want to do is drop an action in here. Now I'm using an action, you could do it in a comp node, but I use an action because sometimes these get a bit more complicated than this one. So I need an action, need all the tools available in action, but anyway. So what that's doing is, this is our noise profile before, right? With all of the bad noise coming from the Champions League text. This is our output now, and you can see that's added good noise in there. Now you can also see there's a halo around there. In this case, it's only kind of faint, but still it is a problem. Come into that later. So yeah. So what this means, can you see it in context? So that's context two. So that's where we were before, right? Where you could see the noise profile from the original noise plate. And now this is where we are now. So the noise now matches all of the surrounding area, right? There's no problems. Um, you just need to fix this halo problem, which actually you can't see terribly here. You can see it a little bit around there, I guess. But anyway, that's because this is quite a small little fix and you're not really seeing it. If it was a bigger graduated mat, you would probably see it more. But anyway, let's assume it is a problem. So as always, when someone posts up a really useful setup like that, like Alan did, I save it to my user bin. So this is in here. Here it is. So let's just, I can get rid of that, pull that up here. Pixel spread, that goes there. Okay, so these are now the wrong resolution. So again, I click on that, T-click here. That's now the project resolution, right? This is too big now, so we just need to make it really fine because I'm working in a really fine area. So what was the other thing that Alan did? He also, I think we need to do something like this, get the color correct node up. Just whack the gamma right up. I'm just going to clamp that. I don't think that'll actually cause any problems, but I'll clamp it anyway. Yeah, I mean, there's a different way that he did it. You could do it with this, I guess, as well. But anyway, that's fine for this example. Pixel spread too much. Probably just want it to be like that. And diffuse again too much. Just need it to be like that. Posterize makes it all either ones or zeros. So now that can go in there like that. And yeah, now you will have fixed that halo problem. So if we look at it in context, there we go. Originally with the problem grain with the text, now no problem. Brilliant, that is fixed. And you can also use that. So even if you've selected noise from this area here, you can often use that same noise if you needed to fix something. Sorry, if you needed to fix something somewhere else in the image. But the noise would look a little bit different, and so you just have to get the so this in ACES. You just want the master grade node in ACES, set to ACES there, and you could just play around with the exposure, and that will increase. Like if you increase the exposure, because the noise. I don't know whether this worked. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, perfect. So you can see that the noise is hanging around slightly above zero and slightly below zero. So we've got sub blacks, which is brilliant. So yeah, exactly. That's your noise profile. And because you use subtract, it's all hanging around zero. So what you can do is put in a master grade node here. Sorry, my master grade node set to aces. Right? So that's the master grade node with its such C linear here. And now if you sorry, if you increase the exposure here, I just crashed. For some reason this having a crash problem with scopes at the moment. I'm not sure why. I will cut this and come back. Okay, I'm back and hopefully it should work now. So I've changed this a little bit to RGB parade. So you can see that the brilliant thing about the noise is that you've got both the positive and negative noise, right? So in your add layer that comes after this, it's adding, when it says it's adding, it's actually subtracting some of the noise there. So you're getting it's both adding and subtracting noise to create the original noise profile. So what's good about that is that let's just look at this in context, right? So if I'm to increase the exposure there, you can see you can add more noise, you can make the noise more active, or you can make the noise less active. And that can often be useful if you are using that same noise profile but patching something here, you might need different noise, or here you might need different levels of noise, but you can still use the same noise. You just need to, depending on how light or dark the area you're patching is, depends on how how aggressive you want to renoise it. So again, you can see you can go really aggressive or not aggressive. And what's good is that this is the original camera profile noise, right? You're not creating any new noise or anything. You're using the original camera profile noise. All you're doing is you're increasing the severity of it, um, or making it very soft. Cool. So there's some noise tricks for you. I hope that that helps. This is my technique that I use for just lots of shots where lots of projects where I have to send it back as I received it. And you like this original denoise renoise is really useful, and then this patching is really useful for when you have noise problems. Um, cool. I hope that helps. Okay. Cheers. Bye.